Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Living Large Las Vegas. My name is Kobe Sherlock, and today back in the lab, Mr. Derek Parent. Derek, say hello to everybody.
Hello, hello.
Guys, today we are bringing someone super special to our community, someone who honestly has an incredible vision for how to support this community in Las Vegas, and someone who's been doing it for quite some time. So without further ado, I can't wait to introduce and hear from Ms. Barbara Schifalacqua, who is our Chief Deputy District Attorney right here. Barbara, will you say hello to everybody?
Hello, everyone.
Guys, so, we were really excited. There's a great season around us. We're facing a lot of challenges as a community. We're seeing things that we've never seen before, and we're handling, different procedures and different actions as a civil duty differently than we have in the past, based on the pandemic and COVID and how we're adjusting. And so before we dive into it, I can't wait to hear your perspective about it. But will you share a little bit about yourself and your background for the listeners?
Absolutely. I appreciate being here, guys. I'm originally from the Midwest, but like most people, when I got the opportunity to come out here, I thought, great, yeah, my husband and I drove across country from Chicago in a Penske truck because he had an opportunity at a job. And like most people, we came out to Vegas, fell in love, and built our lives here. We are actually in August, we'll be married 18 years. Wow. We have 2 beautiful kids. And so I began, that was in 06. We've been out here 14 years. And in 07, I started my job at the district attorney's office. And I have been a deputy district attorney and then a chief deputy district attorney for the entirety of my career. Really called to serve our community, protecting and exacting justice for those who have gone through really kind of the most traumatic times of their lives. That's what I've been doing. I've been a gang unit prosecutor as well as a special victims unit prosecutor. I've handled thousands of criminal cases. And now I'm actually running for district court judge in Department 4.
That's right. First of all, I just want to say, 1, thank you for being here, but 2, thank you for what you do.
I appreciate it.
We both know that that your service is not easy, and it's no secret that, in the work you do, it's very tough. And so it's extremely honorable that you chose that path and that you serve Las Vegas and our, county the way you do. So thank you.
Absolutely.
But, I tell you, I wanted to, dive right in on your day-to-day and kind of how it shifted
Sure.
from what we're, the normal to, I guess, what we will consider the new normal for now. So how is your day-to-day in your job? And can you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I think most people don't necessarily know what district attorneys do, but for all of Clark County, we prosecute crime, right? Yeah. And it's every type. It is everything from a stolen vehicle, a petty theft, to a murder or a child rape, right? And we handle a myriad of those cases. And our day-to-day, was always and continues to be in the courtroom. We're either preparing for court, preparing for trial, being in trial, or being in court. So when the pandemic hit, there really was some shift. But I think people don't understand totally is that when you think of an essential worker, you think of course, our nurses, our doctors, the people that are out there on the front lines during COVID. And, I personally think of that because I have a sister back in Wisconsin who is a nurse anesthetist. She's in the surgical ICU tents. She's, on the front lines. And we think of those as essential workers. But what I think people don't understand is that district attorneys are essential workers. I haven't so much. I've been home 2 days and are upwards of almost 60, of our stay-at-home orders. Now, our courts have tried to narrow having out-of-custody cases be before them. They've continued them. We don't want to put anybody at risk or have victims come in to testify when they don't need to. But, we have people in custody on very serious cases and really serious crimes and danger to the community, and so we show up. And so for me and the team that I am, I go to North Las Vegas, I go to Henderson, I'm in downtown, I'm, all across the valley, Clark County. We're still in court. Yesterday I was in court for, putting on a preliminary hearing that was 4 hours long with, 5 witnesses. It was, it's a really violent case. But that's what we do. We show up. So we're an essential worker in a way that I think people don't realize, much like our officers are still on the streets, because crime doesn't stop. It hasn't stopped. We wish it would.
Yeah,
I mean, if anybody
right.
wanted to take a break, like, okay,
Yeah,
we're
Colonel,
cool. We're cool. But, you know, realistically, that's what we're doing. And so the shift for me personally is I'm still in the courtrooms. I'm still, you know, called to obviously be a part of protecting our community.
Well, you know, so, you know, the day-to-day stuff that you go through, I mean, you know, going from prosecutor to want to be, we actually spoke about this, want to be a judge, you know, sitting on the opposite side, you know, like we were saying, most people go from prosecutor's office to private practice, but your calling, you know, tell us about your calling in law, like, you know, because we know Mark, your husband really well, and
Right.
just to, you know, to know you, just to be around you guys, knowing that you're the right person for this job, you know, you're the right person to serve our community, but, you know, why not private practice? Why did you want to go right to the judge?
Right. And it's a good question, because here's what I think people don't necessarily understand is everyone always thinks that an attorney has a client. And they also usually believe that an attorney is in a courtroom. Most attorneys are not in a courtroom. District attorneys are in a courtroom, for sure. We have experience in that way like no other. But most people have clients that they have duties to. When you are a prosecutor, you don't have a client. While we absolutely are called to protect victims of crime, the victim themselves is not the client. We are called to seek justice, and we take an oath to do just that. So when it comes to who our client is, it's upholding the laws of the state of Nevada. Now, most people, you're right, they go into private practice and they make that money, and good for them, because you know what? Everybody has a right to do that. It just wasn't, you know, and as you said, Mark's a prosecutor as well. It just wasn't what we felt that we needed to do for the community. You know, when you are there to represent justice, to uphold the laws, you don't pick your victims, you don't pick what has happened to them, but you take an oath to stand, to make sure that the community is safe, and to make sure the laws are upheld and followed. And so in that way, because I'm in courts all the time, I mean, I'm in court nearly daily, I've been before good and bad judges. And I am not the personality type to sit back and criticize from the sidelines. And it's why I put my name in the race, because it is so vital to have judges on the bench that have courtroom experience and that can handle what happens in a court. And we have a lot of people that go from private practice, and good for them that they would aspire to be on the bench, but they haven't been in a courtroom. And, you know, for me, because I live it, that's what I want to do. Yeah. And I know how important it is to community, right? I have dealt in some of them, quite frankly, I could tell you about the cases and they would choke you up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been on SVU, I've prosecuted child rapists, you know, I've prosecuted gang murders. And it is so important to people that they know that you have smart, hardworking, dedicated persons standing there to get it right, right? My job isn't to have one side or the other. My job is to get it right, to uphold justice. And in that way, when you want to become a judge, the transition is easier, I believe, for me, because I don't have a client that I'm dedicated to. I can sit and fairly assess, because that's what I've sworn to do now.
You know, I love that that transition is going to support you and what you're up to. And obviously, hopefully, you know, for anyone watching, you really take the time to listen in and learn and how important it is in the transition, you know, because as times change, you know, there's one thing that rests, and it's as our life experience goes, it really builds to how we lead, and you're obviously leading a really great path. So I commend you for that as well. Thank you. You know, how has, you know, this is a campaign, you know, we are in a campaign season, and, you know, how has that changed for you and your tactics, and how are you reaching, you know, our community? Because we know how well you connect with individuals here and how well you have connected with our citizens, you know, when we were able to connect, and, you know, person to person. So how's that shifted for you?
It has, you know, the beginning of campaign season, when you're getting ready to run, you know, you have events that you can go to. You have different community events that you can attend, and you can really reach out to people. We're traditionally a community that has things like parades. We have things like we walk in neighborhoods, we go door to door, we meet folks, we let them know the things that they don't know about us, and then we let them make the assessment, because that's the beauty of being able to, you know, fill out that ballot and send it in, is you really get a chance to meet the folks that are going to be making judgments that are vital, that are really important. And so, you know, when COVID happened, it really changed everything for everyone. I think, quite frankly, right now, you'll see me a lot more on Facebook, Instagram. You know, I got to find all my millennial friends and, you know, have them help me look out my nephews, my cousins, etc. You know, I'm like, huh, TikTok, what? Okay, let's do this. And, you know, you really shift in that way. And you try to reach people in, you know, billboards, ads, and otherwise. But then it really goes back to the people that know you and what they're able to reach with you. So I call them purposeful voters, right? They're the people that are excited about seeing your name. Yeah. When somebody sees my name and they send me the snapshot, the picture, you know, saying, Barbara, I voted for you in the mail, 1,000%. I've told everybody I know. That's what I rely on. So y'all tell everybody you know, Schifalacqua. There it is.
Well, I got excited. So last night I was driving on the 15. I saw your billboard. Yeah. So I mean, I
You're like
excited.
My face.
Yeah,
yes, yeah.
Because we're friends, you know. And thank you for being the pillar in the community. And you are an essential worker. And yeah, we do think of Dr. Nurse, but thank you because you keep our community safe, right? So when all this changed, I know they're saying that different crimes are up, actually, like domestic violence. So I hear is what are some of the stuff going on now that you're seeing more of?
Well, and I think, you know, of course, domestic violence is one of them. It's been documented. And I think there's a couple of things going on with that. Of course, people have a pressure of when they don't have a job, right? They might be out of a job. They might be, quite frankly, I've seen y'all posts. I mean, people might be drinking a little bit too much, but in a real way, I think that translates. And so that's one of them. You know, some of the things have gone down because stores are closed, et cetera, so your traditional theft or other thing might not be. But have you seen in the news, I mean, other things are up. You've seen people stealing vehicles, that kind of thing, because those are what are accessible. But I think domestic violence, you know, it can't be underscored how important it is for families to feel safe. And I know that's why the district court had done online filings for protective orders and other things, which I commend them for doing, because, you know, when people are at a low point, and oftentimes they are, if they don't have a job or if they feel that pressure, that struggle, violence, of course, is never the answer to that. But that's where we see it translate. Yeah. You know?
We just talked to a gentleman earlier who is really working to support people, you know, through some of the or I should say aftermath effects that are going on that we don't think about with economic downfalls. And, you know, that is, you know, things like you're speaking into in abusive situations and addiction. And so, you know, right now being a source of just supporting the community has really been a part of our mission and what we preach. And, you know, obviously that's something that you've always stood for is the greater health of our community. You know, for what is, you know, going on in campaign season and some of the changes that have made, I feel like a lot of questions always come up like, oh, who endorses and how does the endorsement work? You know, what is that like for you? And is there anybody that endorses you now? And how's that work?
Major endorsements, major.
Absolutely. And thank you. You know, it's interesting. I think people, they'll see, you know, endorsed by XYZ, but they don't really know how the process is. And it's, you know, what we do as candidates is usually there are groups, for example, law enforcement community that I have proudly been endorsed by. They will, long ago, no one knows about it, but they will send questionnaires, will ask questions to candidates. They will then do an interview process with you. So you're, you know, and they will vet the candidate and whether or not you stand for either the same values as them, whether or not they think you're the right fit for the community with regard to the court. And so, you know, there are tons of different groups. One of them that I mentioned was the Law Enforcement Coalition. And this was, you know, really important to me because I've stood with law enforcement in protecting our community for well over a decade. But they are a coalition of law enforcement all across Clark County. So when I say that I've gotten their endorsement, you know, every major law enforcement agency, it is just that. That's Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. That's North Las Vegas Police Department. That is Nevada Highway Patrol. That's Henderson Police Department. You know, and really every major law enforcement agency has endorsed me and told their folks, this is who we want on the bench. And that I was really proud of. I also, though, have gotten endorsements in other areas. I've been endorsed by SEIU, and that labor group is really important because they represent public employees, sector workers, and also different healthcare workers, right? So the nurses, the people that are out there with us being essential workers, they have endorsed my candidacy as the person to vote for in District Court Department 4. But that's not it. I've also been vetted and endorsed by veterans groups. So Nevada Veterans Association, Veterans for a Responsible Government, they have endorsed me. Those veteran groups have, as well as our Clark County Deputy Marshals. Those are the men and women that are in our courtrooms that are keeping the actual administration of justice going, who've seen my work product for years. They have, in fact, just this morning sent me a proud letter telling me that absolutely we endorse you for Department 4, District Court Judge Department 4, and then our Clark County Prosecutors Association. My fellow prosecutors who have worked with me for years have endorsed me as the person to vote for. So I'm really proud of that, because that process is more than just, a billboard. Not that I'm mad at billboards. Go ahead, people. Schifalacqua. No, I'm just kidding. Right?
You forgot our endorsement. We endorsed you.
Oh,
yes,
for
that's
sure.
right.
The parent
that's right.
team.
There we go. Parent
endorsed
team
you.
endorsed. I'm going to get a T-shirt.
I need to get a letter. I wish I would have had a letter to give her.
Right, but they look at and they walk through your work product and what you've done over the years, and so it's really important to me, because I'm the only candidate in my race at all that has the support of our law enforcement community, that has the vast support of labor, as well as veterans groups. These people that have varying views, but they agree on one thing, that I'm the person you should vote for District Court Department 4, and I appreciate it.
Well, you have our vote. I had this question today because obviously we discussed that this is a new, mail-in ballots, all that stuff.
Right.
But, so I believe I'm a type of person that every vote counts, right? So if you have 5 people in a household, how does, if you say 5 people live there, you get 2 ballots. How can they go vote? How can they go get a card? That way their
Sure.
voice is heard.
And that's the thing. If you look, the Secretary of State website, they have it, and it's called Mail It In Nevada. And you can go online, and they will show you if you either aren't registered, you can still get registered. And we, in fact, have up to same-day registration in Nevada. You actually have to go to one of the places that will be open on June 9th, though it's not going to be traditionally open. I mean, it's for these kind of last-minute things, but you can get up-to-date registration and make sure your ballot is sent, because it's so important. It especially is important in this time frame where we are doing something new, where people have to, look at their mail, open it up, vote, close it, sign it, make sure it gets back in the mail. For some people, that's a daunting task. And it's important to follow up on that, because they have all of the links that you can go to. What if I missed my ballot? What if I think it came late? What if I think it went to the wrong address? What if I just moved? You can go to the Secretary of State website, and they will literally walk you through what steps you need to do in order to be able to get your vote.
Also, don't use red, use black or blue
Correct.
pen.
Black or blue
don't
pen.
use red. Sign the outside. If you don't sign it, your ballot, your vote doesn't count.
Right.
So sign it. Make sure. Listen, I think it's so important as a citizen, and we want the right people. I mean, I know we see billboards all the time, but there's I love your journey, right, from prosecutor to judge. That shows this community what you're about. You're all about the people. And this town is so amazing to support you in so many different ways. But how we can support you as followers or as friends is voting. That's how we can show our support. And I encourage everyone to get out there and get and vote. Grab your card. It's the longest last name on the ballot, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You
There
won't
you
miss
go.
it.
You won't miss it. It stands out.
Right. It's the long. No, she's. But you've been an amazing friend, and I can't thank you enough just for even being a part of this. But I really can't thank you enough for serving this community. I mean, on the level that you serve. I mean, most of us, the stuff that you have. When you said the child stuff,
Sure.
I got goosebumps because
Right.
I have children, right? So it's one of those things. But the stuff that you see real animals, and sometimes and some, and I hate to say it like that, but there's some anyone that does anything to children, you definitely have something wrong. But and you said thousands and thousands of cases. So, I mean, God, just this, to see what you've seen, would give most people nightmares.
And it does. I am fortunate enough to have a husband that's also a prosecutor, right? That is supportive and has the same calling that I do, that cares just as much about other people's kids as his own. Same with me. And, we really do deal sometimes in people's trauma. But it's great to be the person that looks into that child's eyes and says, he's never going to hurt you again.
Yeah.
And you didn't do anything wrong, and you're going to grow up and be a fantastic person, right? That reward outweighs the things that, of course, as a mom, replay in my head when you think about unspeakable acts against children. Yeah. Same with, when I worked the gang unit, people have a lot of courage if you have a gangster that shot up your house or you or otherwise to come out and speak out against that, right? To be able to say, you stick with me, I'll stick with you. We're going to do what's right. And it doesn't matter where you came from. You have the right to be protected by the laws of the state of Nevada, period. And that's what we do. And I am really thankful that you guys not only have me on, but that you talk about what it is that you can do. Because when we talk about campaigning, it is true. Money makes a difference. Of course it does, right? But I don't ever believe that money should buy you a judicial seat, right? So I believe that who you are, the work product you have, the experience you have, and what you're going to do for the community should outweigh that. But I don't got a lot of friends that are rich. Let's be clear, right? Okay. I mean, I just simply don't. But how they help is that they are dedicated to telling every person they know that I'm the right person for the position, right? And that translates in a way, I think, far, far better than money.
Yeah.
And it's what people can do, right? Maybe you can't send me money because guess what? COVID is, and you got your own kids, and you got real life struggles. But you know what you can do? You can fill out that ballot because it doesn't cost you a dime.
Yeah, exactly. God.
I mean, I tell you, I know, it's a tough conversation, and what you're speaking into is a real force, but that is how we'll encourage encourage the community just to be in action and take that moment and make that commitment. It's our biggest, for me, it's one of our greatest freedoms is to be able to, choose
Absolutely.
those who are choosing us, right? Choosing us back. And so for that, I'm grateful. I think it also plays great into your values, and it shines bright. And we know you're from the Midwest.
That's
you're not
right.
shy about
No.
it. And everybody knows about Midwest values. Why don't you share a little bit about how that Midwesterner is coming out in your service?
And it is funny because I get that a lot. And, I've used that. In fact, said Midwestern values. Number one, it means integrity, period, hands down. I am who I say I am, and that's it. The other portion of that for me is hard work, right? I had years ago in law school a judge that taught an advanced criminal procedure course. And, he said something that I've always taken with me, and it's what I tell young deputies that are new in my office, which is, you know what, there's going to be an occasion where you walk into a room and you're not the smartest person. Okay. But you can always be the most prepared. And that's something that I've always taken with me because, even my colleagues of mine, people that have been on the other side of the aisle of me when we argue in the courtroom, they're like, oh man, here comes Barbara. She's not going to miss that. No, I won't, sir. Thank you. Right. But it's so important because work product means something. Work ethic means something. And that's what it is to me. You do it with integrity and you work hard. You wake up early, you go to bed late, you put yourself and who you are into your work. And really that's and I'm thankful that my husband does the same type of work because really that's when we talk about a calling, when we say dedicate our lives, we say dedicate our lives. I mean, I don't know that people understand that, before a judge signs, for example, the search warrant, gets that search warrant call at 2 a.m, those detectives are calling us, right, to first run it by us. You're dedicated in every way. If you're getting ready for a jury trial, I can't walk in and say, so here's the thing, Judge. I know this guy's charged with multiple serious felonies and we're ready to go, but I didn't sleep last night. My kid was up doing, in the middle of the night. I have a new puppy. She chewed on something. It's like, no, guess what? You come to do. You stand up, you come prepared, and you do what's right because, again, we take an oath to uphold justice. And so that's the type of person I am. And that's what it means for me when you talk about Midwestern values. That and, please come to the table. We like to eat. We like to have, we like to have fun too, of course. But that's really, it's operating professionally and personally with integrity to others.
I think the integrity portion that you're speaking into is huge. It's something that Derek practices, preaches, shares, has mentored me.
I teach What'd she say?
What, integrity?
Yes.
Preparation.
Oh,
yeah.
that,
Well,
well,
that too.
I
I'm
teach
just
you guys.
prepared,
Oh,
man.
man.
I just live that, you know?
Integrity is the way we live our lives, but preparation is, you were saying that, I was putting a smile on my face and
You were
looking over
grinning, you're like, oh.
because we're always prepared,
Yep.
right? And right, Ryan?
Except for today. No, I'm just
Nah.
kidding.
Right.
So I wanted
Except
to-
no.
Yeah, no, we get, but I believe it's key value. But I want to ask this question, right?
Sure.
So you and your husband both have this, like, who wins the arguments at home?
Oh, man.
Very good question.
We have to.
He's gonna watch this.
We gotta get a little.
Very good question.
And then the second follow-up to that one, right? Do you ever use the kids to do like a mock trial at home? Like
I
if someone like spills something, like
No, well, I do. I will tell you this. I mean, this is, well, let's go in deep. Okay. I will tell you this. There are times, I have a 8-year-old, and there are a few days that she'll say, I'm not going to school. Before obviously we had to be at home with the kids, and I'm not going to school, Mom. I'm not going to, and I'm like, Mom's got to get to court. You're going to school. Let's get in the car. Listen, I'm staying home. And I'll be like, well, actually, you can't stay home. See, here's the thing. It's called negligent treatment, maltreatment of a child. I cannot leave you home alone. You're 8 years old. You could harm yourself or others. I have a duty to protect you. I'm as your mother, and thus you need to get in the car. And then she'll just kind of look at me and be like, but I know it's going to haunt me later. I mean, the teen years, she's going to be like, first of all, step 1, this mom. Step 2, let me tell you,
She may be reciting those things for years.
Yeah, right. So it's already begun, right? She'll be like,
That's
no,
awesome.
Mother, here's this, this, and this. There's a PowerPoint ready for you of my arguments. And they try to negotiate with us, okay, Mom, no, time to go do X, Y, Z. Okay, how about 3 more minutes of the movie? Then I'll brush my teeth, but then I get a snack. And I'm like, what? When did this happen? But, it permeates their kind of their everyday. And hard pass on who wins the fights at home. No, I'm just kidding.
that's okay.
You nailed something for me too. I think it's important for everybody. And it's only, I shared a little bit about having a passion for politics in my past. And that's, what I love to serve and support. But I feel like in the day we're in now, and just the misconceptions that come with anything thought political, any kind of campaign, people, there are assumptions and fixed beliefs that people win elections and then kind of take off the gas, and a lot of folks believe politicians are inactive, but you and I both know when we're talking about the bench and your efforts to get to the bench, you are working to only get to work more. Can you share a little bit about, kind of the efforts and the pride that you have to really take that on and work some more?
Sure, absolutely. It's really why when people ask me, hey, why are you running for district court judge? And it is because I'm in the courtroom daily. I've seen good and bad judges. As I said, I'm not going to sit back and criticize, but what we have to do, and being that I'm in court all the time, I don't need someone on the bench, and nor does the public. So lean in, y'all. Listen. We don't need someone who's on there to say, oh, well, I wanted to retire a judge, right? Like, that's what I wanted to do. Or I wanted to have some sort of prestige. And that's why I ran for district court. For my purposes, it's like, no, we got a backlog. I know I live it. No, we've got people that have every right to have jury trials be heard. They have every right to have swift decisions be made, to have sentences be had, to have whatever chapter it is. And this is whether you're on, having gone through something as a victim of a crime, or whether you're, have gone through something and you are the one whose liberty's interest is at stake. You have every right to have finality, because people have chapters in lives that sometimes, as we know, they can only move on when they're closed, right? And so for me, being able to be in district court department for that next judge means I'm ready to go. We're ready to work. That's what we're going to do. Attorneys, show up and be prepared, right? Because I will be. And you deserve the respect of a judge that will be prepared. And that is so vital, because you can feel it the second you walk in a courtroom. And so can, even if you're not the attorney, right? I have victims that come to speak at sentencing. They know if the judge knows what's going on in the case or not, right? And they can feel whether or not they understand the totality of what's gone on. When we have dockets and criminal calendars, et cetera, that are so long, and people are waiting for a jury trial, right? Which right now, this is going to be a huge impact, because right now we can't have them, right? We can't have 150 people, potential jurors in a courtroom because of COVID, right? We can't do it now. So things are getting pushed back, which means later on, you have to have someone that's going to be there ready to work. And I mean ready every day, all day, into the night, prepared and ready to go.
Seems like you just want to take on more. Seems like
Absolutely.
I hear rigorous, and just want to have a full calendar and just, you know, help get this system, you know, unwound.
And it will be, because it's going to be so much, just because by nature of, as everyone in all the businesses. I mean, people are shut down. Like I said, we're at work, but those are only people in custody, et cetera. You know how many cases have gotten continued? When we come back, you're going to have, I mean, the hundreds and hundreds of cases. And I know that there are plenty of our judges now that absolutely are dedicated to doing just that. And I hope that I can be on the bench with them, helping them along.
So does Department 4 only see certain crimes, or does it see
No.
everything?
So here's what happens. Department 4 right now is Carrie Early's department. She's retiring, so it's an open seat. But I've heard that misnomer too. You know, I've heard some people when they're campaigning for Department 4 say things like, oh, it's just a civil courtroom. Well, that's just not the case. What happens is after the election is over, the chief judge will make an assessment over kind of what type of docket you have. Most of our judges have a split calendar that I'm before. I've actually, in Carrie Early's department, I've done criminal cases in front of her. She currently is civil, but that's not how it will play out later.
Oh, nice. See?
Yeah, it's a really good insight, honestly, and
Right.
I appreciate the, you know, that approach, because a lot of people probably don't know that, honestly.
No, and they'll think, oh, well, you haven't done, you know, some sort of civil area of law, but that's not how it will play out, right? So the chief judge will make an assessment, and they make adjustments all the time. And of course, I will be prepared to do criminal cases. It's what I've done.
I think it's important for people to know, like, different, you know, I mean, especially serving the community on what happens, right? You know, no one knows, right? But except, you know, how the judicial system works here. Right. And it's fascinating that, you know, you've dedicated pretty much your whole life to serving others. And, you know, I think everyone that we spoke to this week, and it's all in service. And we can't think, honestly, we can't think, we're so lucky that we have, you know, a future, you know, judge, you know, in our, you know,
we're going to stake the claim right here.
Right.
I mean, but that's
Here
just how
we
we
go.
judge.
I love it.
You know, you're going to be a future judge. You know, I mean, we're very excited to, you know, we do our community does. And, you know, we'll do our very best to make sure people know, like, I mean, you're just an amazing woman, you know, just to hear your passion for law and taking care of people. I mean, who would you want to?
Passion is true. I feel it, by the way. You know, it's no secret. Like, your passion exists. I appreciate your authentic, you know, shares here. And, you know, it takes a special person to be so passionate about the work you're in. And it really, I believe, is your calling. And I can literally feel your energy on it. And so I appreciate the way that you show up. And I can't wait to see how you show up, you know, for the city. Because if there's anything we learned today in a relentless way, you will show up.
Oh, for sure.
And you will be prepared.
Absolutely.
You know, guys, it's not often we get to connect with, you know, leaders in our community in this way. We try to put out as many, you know, supportive, you know, connecting opportunities with the leaders in our community. And this is a great way to be informed, and what a great person to lead the charge and sharing, you know, a path to understanding how our judicial system is working and built, and what an authentic approach you provide. So, you know, thank you for that, honestly, Barbara. I appreciate it.
And when I'm judge, here, you said it here, I'll be back.
Yeah, you will.
I'll be back.
No,
yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
It'd be nice if we could say we have judge.
Because we're not coming to see you.
No. Please don't.
Well, we could take a field trip.
Yes.
We could take a field trip.
Way, but other than that, don't.
We get to see the judicial system. It'd be nice doing a field trip.
I used to. This is sad, or not sad at all. Honestly, I'll admit it. I had a great time. I never forget my time volunteering to support in the Chancery Court. It was a huge case. It was covered by everybody, including Comedy Central at the time. I'll never forget it was a Moss case in Murfreesboro. Chancellor Corlew was who was sitting on a bench, and he allowed me to come and sit and support in the courtroom. And it was one of the most incredible just experiences to take in and really see the procedure of the court and feel the balance and what he provided in service. And so, yeah, I do get a little bit of excitement hearing, the passion and things you're up to, because it reminds me of things that I've also been passionate about in my life. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
It's nice to have someone who's not a BS type person. You're not doing it because you're going to get recognition. You're doing it because you want to serve the people.
That's right.
I was going to, we have Vince Lombardi up on the wall, and I know you from
Yes.
not from Green Bay area, but he talks about a lot of the values that you have. He portrayed a lot in his career, and so we really appreciate you being here. And how can people what can they do for you? Like how can they get in touch with you if they want to help with the campaign, or what can we do to really get you going? We really want to see you.
I appreciate that. The biggest thing will be, first of all, tell everyone right? Vote. But I know everyone has social media. Everybody's, if you're at home and you're able to watch this, send it on. Let people know that, there are people out there worthy of your vote, ready and dedicated to work hard for this community. And I do have a website, but you got to spell Schifalacqua. So y'all better put it up, actually.
We got you covered.
Right? Yeah.
Should have brought you.
We should have brought my sign in here. Come on. Right? So it's www.barbaraschifalacqua.com, and it will absolutely send you to, if you either want to volunteer, if you do happen to have extra money, I don't know, hey, hit me up. And you can always donate, but more than that, and as I said, wealth isn't everything, but people purposefully voting and letting people know that a candidate is valuable, that they are going to do what's right by this community is the biggest compliment to me, and it's the most help they can give is if they spread the word. And also, and most importantly, Schifalacqua. It is an Italian, just so you know, because as I was telling you guys, I get this question all the time. What is your name? It's a lovely Italian name, and it actually means ship on water, Schifalacqua. So that will kind of help people remember that when you see that name on the ballot, don't get confused by the C and the Q. Don't. I really do hope that I've earned your vote.
Yeah, and if you're one of those people that, you just don't do your research or maybe you just, feel lost from the ballot, just pick the longest name on there and submit it for us.
We did it for you. It's going to be actually, I think one of my proudest, no BS. I went to the mail the other day and it came in, right? And I was so excited. I went upstairs and I put it on my desk, and you got your I vote stickers and all that stuff. Right. And I told you, I saw it. First name I was looking for was your name, and I circled it. I took a picture of it. I sent it to Mark and the leadership team, right? And, but what I didn't do was I didn't mail it in my in my box at home. I waited and I drove to the post office because I wanted to make sure that my vote for you got in the actual post office hands, right? Because I believe in voting, and I believe that you are the right candidate for this city. I'll say it over and over, and we're gonna post it and keep putting it up there. And until you're judge, we're gonna stick with you, by your side.
Oh, and when you're judge, probably. Yeah.
And you'll stick with me then.
Not
too.
to cut you off, that judge.
I mean, once you hit it, I like you met your goal. We're done.
Oh, I just know you said we won't be visiting you.
No.
Yes, no. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
Of course, Barbara. It's been a pleasure, honestly, and I just love being able to connect. So thank you for being your authentic self and doing the good work.
Look out for the field trip to the courthouse, guys. We're going to schedule a field trip to come visit the Schifalacqua when she's behind the bench to get a tour of what she does day by day.
Guys, we're coming back at you, Living Large Las Vegas, with the next episode. But until then, do your civic duty. Pick up that ballot. Fill it out, check it off, pick the right people who are going to serve us in the right way, and submit it, and let's do it together. Thanks so much, Las Vegas. We'll talk to you guys soon.